Please. Martha?
Oh, okay. So that
I'd
was
like
my
to-
introduction.
I'd like to call the Harwich Golf Committee monthly meeting for September to order. And just as a point of information, I was just informed about an hour ago, these meetings will be recorded, and these mics are live, so considering the sidebar conversations, you'd probably want to be judicious. With that in mind, welcome to Roman Greer. Thank you, Roman, for being here. And we'll get right to the agenda. The consent agenda calls for the approval of the April 15th minutes. Motion to approve?
They're August 15th minutes, and,
Did I say?
yeah, you said April. That's okay.
Yep.
I have one thing I'd like to strike from that.
Okay.
Because I think it's very misleading. It was sort of, I said this, but it was in a different context. Wages for the staff are between $70 and $80 per hour. That's not true. And that's quite misleading. We're talking about hourly costs in the kitchen on days, you know.
Oh, I got you.
So
Yeah.
I would just as soon strike that entire bullet.
Okay. Is that okay, Mike?
It's fine with me.
Okay, perfect. Any other additions? Okay, with that in mind, then, a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now to the director's report. Roman Greer is going to touch on the non-member survey results and a maintenance review for this late summer through the rain.
Okay.
Roman, thank you.
Sure. I'm going to try to stay focused on just a few topics, as Clem said, as well as touch on a new advertising opportunity and focus we're having for next year. So let me break the rules of PowerPoint and read directly from the slide here for Sean's maintenance report. Course conditions. Overall, I feel that the course conditions for the season were good, even though it was a challenge due to the high humidity and wet conditions. Once summer got here, it really never got too hot or dry. This has allowed us to start the fall off in great shape for fall golf. We've started to renovate tees, fairways, we have 5 left to do, in which we airify, overseed, and fertilize. As to greens, because they're in such great shape, and the fact that we've had such a wet spring, and revenue was down a little in the spring, we thought it would be good not to airify until late November. This will not harm them in any way, and will hopefully make a little more money. My note on that is we've advertised that on our website, not aerating until Thanksgiving. So we're generating a lot of play, because that's the big question for golfers this time of year is, when did you aerate? Promotions. Since the retirement of a longtime employee on our staff, we've been running a little undermanned this past summer. So I would love to thank the entire maintenance staff for a job well done. Also, there's been a reorg in which some longtime employees were promoted, such as Rain Ryder was promoted from Greenskeeper 2 to Foreman. Dean has been promoted from Greenskeeper 1 to Greenskeeper 2. Both employees have worked for the town for over 30 years and are well deserving of their promotions. We're in the process of filling the last position as we speak, hoping to start interviews at the end of the month. Projects, we're preparing for the cart barn clearing.
Oh, may I get a question?
Yes,
What's the difference between Greenskeeper 1 and Greenskeeper 2?
it's in job description. They have, Greenskeeper 2 has more responsibilities, a little higher pay, a little more responsibilities in general. The answer is not so much. I think it's got something to do with licenses they have and what they have the ability to do, lift licenses, and from the Greenskeeper 2 to Foreman, that requires a spray license. So now Rain has received his spray license, so he's able to do more.
That's better.
That's good, John.
And that's a new position we haven't had in the past. We're considering it like a superintendent, a second assistant superintendent. Projects, preparing for cart barn clearing, prep bids for tree work, pump house controller install, pumps to be pulled, rebuilt, and reinstalled starting around mid-November.
Roman, what's involved in preparing for cart barn clearing?
That's just the heading projects.
Okay.
Okay.
When's that gonna start, Roman?
I'll get to that if you don't mind, Martha. We're gonna cover that shortly, okay?
Sorry.
All right, you got it. So I'm gonna give a brief recap of operations.
So is that maintenance complete?
Yes.
Okay. I just had a question. I was interested, we had broached the subject with Jim Skralski, and the application of dry sand.
Yeah.
Any response to that? I mean,
Yeah,
from players and,
I think in general, the players haven't noticed it so much,
Yeah.
but the greens have been very good. With the wet spring, it was particularly good in helping keep dry, smooth rolling conditions. Sean and the people that noticed these things, the greens have been a lot better this year. It was a difficult wet spring, as you know, so.
oh, I know.
So we didn't have, we had some slower green speeds maybe in the spring than we normally have, but overall, the process has been good.
Great.
Dry sand application.
Could I make a comment? I was able to play crosswinds up in Plymouth this week, and I was stunned by the number of divots everywhere. And it's to your credit that we don't have that condition. We do have divots, but we don't have that condition here. And I don't know how you avoid it, but people perhaps are putting their divots back, or they're putting sand in.
And Ro-
We have a very courteous group of golfers. I mean, I think in general, the amount of rounds we have, our members are very courteous, and our guests. We do get a lot of people, most people repair their ball pitch marks on the greens. Most people fill their divots, and then our grounds crew goes out daily and fills divots on the golf course.
Just a suggestion, it might, when you do your final for the year, to point out that, that people tend to be quite courteous about the turf here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, on the operation side of things, I'll just go over a few of what's been happening. The Cranberry Valley Women's Golf Association completed their Solheim Cup on 9/5. That included the shotgun and a banquet in the dining room. The Cranberry Valley Men's Golf Association has the Cranberry Cup going on right now. Tomorrow is supposed to be day 2 of 3. Tom Johnson is a participant in that event. So that's currently going on at the golf course. That's one of the men's majors. I had a quick note that I won't read, but it was a very nice thank you note I received from Carol Fuller, who ran the ladies' Solheim Cup, and just pointing out a few things. She wanted to point out Sean and Dick for their great job. Every detail was executed to perfection. Dick had it very organized. She also wanted to thank Ron and the Hot Stove for all his organization. 2 more people to thank Mike here for helping them find the right tea gift, which was a challenge, and Max for his great nature and helpfulness. So that was some very nice feedback from the ladies that ran the Solheim Cup.
How many participants were there?
64.
Wow. Nice field.
And then this,
Well, what happens tomorrow if the forecast is accurate and with the rain?
we'll see.
and that kind of stuff?
We're going to communicate with the Men's Association to see, really, the first person that we make the call is the course open or not.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, Bob Plinus and George Porter, who run the event, will make a call to cancel before it even gets to the course being canceled.
Okay, my question more is, if tomorrow is not playable,
Yes,
do you extend to next week, or?
we're going to discuss that. We talked about it all day, different options.
Okay.
They already canceled the luncheon on Thursday because they're anticipating not being able to play. So
Okay.
we're going to talk about that. Chances are, our first option will be to continue it into the next few Wednesdays, in the regular sweeps time.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. This little blurb I put up here, just to get a sense of the weather, the new Board of Selectmen has asked all department heads to provide a weekly report to the selectmen, and I start off every report to them with the weather report and how many days the golf course is open. And I just kind of copied and pasted from my weekly reports from them. These are the last 4 weekly reports I gave, and in general, the golf course was open 5 of 7 days was my last one. The golf course was open in full 5 of 7 days. There was only one time the golf course was open all 7 days, and then the time before that, the golf course was open 6 of 7 days. So you can see weather's still affecting us. Our revenue still is right where it should be, I mean, compared to last year. So we're not taking a huge hit on revenue, but we are still heavily affected by weather.
Did you have an estimate of what you'd lose during this, the summer period when you close down in terms of revenue?
Every day is different, Tom, so not necessarily, I mean, because, a lot of days, if we're allowing walkers out, we will send walkers out on the golf course, so
Right.
you don't lose a day in full. In a very broad terms, a busy day for us is a $10,000 day. I mean, that's, in general, a busy day is $10,000 to $12,000.
Well, the reason I ask is when we had the revenue statements recently, we were 50,000 short of our objective, and the
Right.
reason was of weather, I would
Right.
think. It's just that when people who don't understand the dimensions of running a golf course raise that issue,
Mhm.
the issue is, well, we had X number of days that we couldn't
Yeah.
open, period.
That's why I'm tracking these, so I think, and we have a
That's a
daily
good
log we
idea.
keep for all 365 days of the year, so we can always
Good
go
idea.
back and see open, which days we were closed, which days we were open partially.
Good idea.
This is a random thing, but the town administrator wanted us to keep the golf course open and available to people that wanted to view the fireworks during the Cranberry Festival. So Sean and I were on site to keep people off the greens and out of the bunkers and to take their trash with them. And Sean had his irrigation phone ready to turn on the water on a green if a burning ember came onto it. And it turned out to be kind of a dud. It was very foggy night, as you can see. So we just saw a different colored fog. we saw red and green fog, and it was actually pretty funny. The pedestrians that came out for it, it was like a drive-in movie theater. They pulled into those parking places that face the driving range and never left their cars. So it was not a big deal, but the town administrator did want us to allow viewing of the fireworks. Okay, just a few more things on operations. We've contracted ProCraft Heritage Creations to do a layout of the pro shop that will include new counter, office space, proposed shop layout, recommended displays and fixtures. That's not a lot of money to get them to do a design for us, so I'll come back to the committee when the design comes in and what their recommendations are. We'd like to kind of put that in a 5-year plan of doing a little bit at a time. The main thing that needs help is our office space and our counter area, but they're working on that currently. We've applied to 8 colleges seeking golf professional training program interns. I conducted interviews with 2 prospective interns from Coastal Carolina University, and we'll see. It's a very competitive environment to try to land these guys, but I'm hoping we land a few interns for next year.
But I would say, Roman, I mean, as a kind of tribute to what you've done in the past, the fact that you're doing interviews now is...
You have to. When they arrive at school in September, they're picking their internships.
Yeah.
And I really hit it off with the gentleman that runs the program at Coastal Carolina. He's a former PGA of America president, and so he's been around for a long time, and he liked what we were offering. The one thing we don't offer that they all look for is housing. So, and we can't get involved in housing in any way. So we kind of rely on the fact that they're going to have family friends, or they're going to be ambitious enough to find a few roommates and come up here, which we've had kids do in the past. But the fact that we don't offer housing and we can't get involved in that side of it is a strike against us.
But just thinking out loud, that's something maybe the Men's and Women's Association might, you know what I mean, if we, Martha, broach the subject at least? I mean, there might be people that have spare rooms, or, you know, they've got a teenage son or daughter that moved away, et cetera, and...
Is there a policy why you don't want to get involved in it?
There's a liability issue of us
That's what
offering
I
them
thought,
housing, so
yeah.
that I would not want to engage in. But if
Well,
we...
they do it for the baseball team, so I guess a lot of families will take
They pay, I
the
think.
players in.
I think they pay for that, Martha, don't they?
Oh, do they?
I believe so, yeah.
It's about 75,
Probably
80 bucks a
does?
week, something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that, yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Well, I certainly can bring it up and see.
see,
Yeah.
if you come up with somebody, I can
Wouldn't that be
connect some
interesting?
parties unofficially without, you know, having an official
Yeah.
role and saying we offer housing.
Right.
But what I did was, I was very encouraging to the 2 gentlemen I spoke with, saying there's a lot of opportunities, just dig in a little bit and,
Yeah.
well, you know, take a look at some roommate situations, look for family connections, and they all had some leads they were working on, so.
How many interns we talking about?
Two.
Well, I interviewed 2, we could hold up to 4 or 5.
Up to 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, tournaments and events still to come. We still have the Women's Golf Association member guest on the 26th, the WGAM Fall Cup on the 28th, the Commissioner's Cup, which will be held at Captain's this year, on the 1st. This is the first year we're holding it all at one golf course. For those of you who don't remember, that's our annual competition against Captain's Golf Course, our members against theirs. We used to split it. Some people play one, some people play the other, and then you go to one designated course for the luncheon. We decided last year it's better having it all at one golf course where you're gonna have the luncheon, and then the next year is switching the venue. 10-4, we have Pals for Life. 10-5 and 6, we have the Senior Club Championship. On 10-7, we're working on a Monomoy Athletic Booster Club tournament that's tentative. I have a finalizing meeting with them later this week. The Women's Golf League of Cape Cod on the 12th, and the year-end scramble for the members on the 15th.
Wow.
So still a lot to come.
Packed.
I threw this on just for a little show of some good faith here. Dear Cranberry Valley Golf Club and members, thank you for donating golf clubs to my school. It's been a lot more fun to play with clubs that actually fit me. I'm looking forward to playing golf again with my school. I left that one anonymous, but I came into that on my desk one morning. That's our members that donated their credit books towards buying clubs for the Monomoy Middle School.
Nice.
Good for you.
So, now, let's get into something, Jeff and I worked on this over last off-season, if you remember, our pace of play card with a guest exit interview on the back of the
Right.
card. This is the back of the card, so I've collected the exit interview cards for the last 3 months, because we really just got started with this program in July, because if you remember, we were waiting on the iPad to kind of get working so we could institute that pace of play program. Here are the results. This is just the raw data. I've gotten this broken down a little bit more, but we asked them 6 questions, and it scores exactly the same as our member survey. So, 5 is excellent, 4 is good. And one thing you'll find interesting, everything rated higher with the guests than it does with the members. And we even saw some, I wouldn't have rated this that high. Making a tea
We're a
time,
lot more
4.65. Personally, I think we could do a lot better with our computer system for making guest tea times. They found it, they rated it very high. Pace of play, 3.9 is a very good number. It's interesting when you put this in perspective. These are more golfers that are playing a lot of different golf
Right.
courses, so this shows more how we represent with other courses in the area. Pro shop customer service was very high at 4.72, outside staff at 4.69, condition of course 4.76, and overall enjoyment 4.72. That's out of 91 returned surveys. I did a little comparison here with how it went with the members. So making a tea time, I compared that to what the members more vote on the Chelsea system. That's kind of apples and oranges, so that may not make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But pace of play, once again, the guests rated that much higher. Pro shop customer service was higher. Outside staff customer service was higher. Of course, condition of the golf course. We asked the members many detailed questions about the condition of the golf course, so I combined all those and averaged them, and it came out much higher for the guests. And overall enjoyment, the numbers are very strong in both departments. But it shows, I think, these guest exit interviews show that how we stand kind of with our competition, because many of these guests come to town for the weekend and play a number of different golf courses. So I'm very happy to see those results.
Is there any way we can take these results and use them to publicize this course in
Yes.
terms of, okay.
Yep, I'll get into that next, because that's kind of what I wanted to deal with our advertising focus I'm getting into next year. So for 2018, an advertising focus is our online reputation. This stuff may be hard to read, but I'll read it for you. What I did was, this is just a screenshot of Googling Golf Cape Cod. The first result that comes up is Holly Ridge Golf Club. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It's a par 3 in Sandwich. And the more I'm learning about Google, which is pretty complicated, but it really depends on, are you using a mobile device or a computer? Where are you when you're searching something? And really, it also looks at what your past searches have been. So this was from my phone. One thing you'll see there is it says ad next to Holly Ridge. So they're paying to have theirs come at the top. But Cafton's is the second respondent, and Cape Cod National is the third. They really are, Google is ranking these based on a really complicated formula, but mostly what it looks at is verifiable sites online, which are like TripAdvisor, Golf Advisor for golf courses, Facebook. They go to some really reputable places, and they take the ratings there, and that factor is very high in the search. So I'll show you some other things I found. When I did it on my phone, one thing that I was horrified to find come up was when I search Cranberry Valley on my phone, it pulls up immediately the Yelp response.
Yeah.
And the Yelp responses for Cranberry Valley are really dated and awful. The first one that comes up is from 2011, and I printed that. We don't need to read it, but you can just tell by glancing at it, it's a rant. I mean, somebody's ranting about awful customer service. Here's the next two that come up. Once again, you can tell just by the length of them, they're rants.
Yeah.
So, and then the one on the left is from 2012, the one on the right is from 2011. So
How do you get rid of those?
that's what I'm getting to. So that's our focus for this year, is because this is really more important than the print media and maybe even more important than the commercials we do.
Dick Fagan on the
No,
yeah, Dick
that's on it. Hope not. We'll talk. So when I did a Google search for my computer, you get a different result. This is more the true Google criteria, where they, on the left, they rate us, and it's funny, the rating goes right in line with our survey results. They pulled a rating from Facebook, which has us at 4.5, and a rating at TripAdvisor that has us at 4.7. And the Facebook review has a lot of reviews. I think that says 74 reviews, and the Golf Advisor only has 3. So we'll get into that a little bit. But these are much more timely. The reviews that I can read here: excellent breakfast, service, and setting. We'll return to the golf course. Great golf course, friendly staff, and it's in great condition. So those are some of the words we got there. When I search Cranberry Valley, what comes up is cranberryvalleygolfcourse.com, our website. Under that is our TripAdvisor review. Under that is our Facebook review. Under that is our Golf Now review, and under that is our Golf Advisor review. So those are really the big online reviews. When you look at TripAdvisor, we are rating at 4.5 stars, 4.5 to 5 stars. They don't actually break it down, but very good reviews, really timely. The top one there happened 6 days ago. The one under it happened August 14th, so those are much more timely. And if I go to Golf Advisor, same thing. I think we got 100% recommended on Golf Advisor, which rates very high in the Google searches. And it has a lot of really our current information on it, and had some great reviews. So I contracted an online SEO company, that's search engine optimization company. They're a certified Google partner. I'm moving some of our traditional print media ads money and dedicating it to this as a primary focus. What they're going to do is conduct customer service surveys. I'll show you how they're going to do that, and then have them posted to targeted websites. They're going to consistently verify, confirm, and monitor our business online presence. Basically what they do is when you Google Cranberry Valley online and 20 pages come up of Cranberry Valley reviews, they need that consistency that they all say 183 Oak Street, they all say the right zip code, they all say the same thing, because if they all say the same thing, you rate higher in the search engines. They're going to conduct assessments of various advertising options. That's pretty exciting. That goes right in line with the next one. They provide a website avatar for business websites to poll new visitors on our website. So when new people come to our website, only the first time you've entered our website on your device, an avatar comes up, which is just a lady on the phone. She looks like a telemarketer, and she's kind of moving around. You see her. She looks like she's live, and she says, "How did you hear about us?" And it's going to list our top money spent in advertising: Comcast commercial, New England Golf and Leisure magazine, whatever we're spending our advertising money. So we'll get some true feedback on what's driving customers to our website.
Fantastic.
And then they're going to provide survey software, which I'll show you now. So I expect this is going to go in line with our iPad usage on the first tee. This is just going to be a screen on the iPad that says new client, existing client, or review link sender. What I envision doing, I'm going to have to design a protocol for this, but really when we have people on the first tee, we're going to give them some type of incentive to say, do you mind when you finish your round reviewing us online? And what we can do is if they give us a phone number that we promise will not turn into spam, if we click the button review link sender, it'll just pop up a little button, this a little space that they can type in their phone number. When they type in that phone number, immediately their phone will buzz with a link that will link them to Golf Advisor, Google, whatever. And so that when they walk off the golf course, they click that link, they click 5 stars, and they walk away. So we're gonna really increase the amount of reviews we have online. What this company is gonna do, it's some pretty shrewd practice, but we provide them with a list of our customers, because we collect email addresses and phone numbers of our customers, and they're gonna, as an independent caller, they're gonna call and say, we understand you recently had an experience at Cranberry Valley. Do you mind discussing it? And they'll ask, they say, oh, I have a brief survey, 3 questions, and the first question will be, how did you like the experience? Based on their answer, they'll kind of branch out on 2 different ways. If it's a very positive and they have very nice positive things to say, those questions will end with, do you mind if we send you a link to review the golf course? This way we get our positive responses sent to us. The negative responses are not dumped. The negative responses turn into, here's an opportunity to give feedback to the golf course, and they collect a database of feedback and they send it directly to me. So anybody that has anything negative to say, I get that emailed from this company. Anybody that has anything positive to say, they get sent directly to a link to review us online. So this should really increase our online standing and our searchability and our ratings online. I think it's much, I'm expecting it to have great results compared to the money we normally have traditionally spent on print media.
Are any of the courses in the area using something like this?
You know who is? The courses that you could guess that have marketing departments. The courses that are in direct competition with us, no. The Waquasit, yes, because they have a strong marketing department.
Yeah.
The Red Jacket Resorts, Blue Rock, yes.
Yeah.
They're using that, and you can tell just by how many times they've been reviewed. Like Captain's Golf Course has been reviewed a handful of times like us. The Dennis courses have been reviewed a handful of times. Blue Rock has been reviewed 500 times or something. And the Waquasit that online you would think it's a golf course. I mean, really what they're advertising is Cape Cod National. Waquasit's been Waquasit Golf Club, I think, is what their online presence is, has been reviewed hundreds of times. So they search and rate very highly in all these searches. So it's going to definitely give us a leg up on the competition. I don't know if by putting this on TV, if I'm giving them all the blueprint for success, but it is a copycat business. So we did, it's our contract with Next Ad Agency. We're exclusive for the Cape, so they're not going to call the next people and say you better sign with us to keep up with Cranberry Valley. So we're the only golf course on the Cape they're working with.
The phone numbers that you're supplying,
Yes.
are they of town people, members of the course, or?
No, they're
guests?
not. They're guests. That through our current Chelsea system, when a member makes a tee time online, they are set up in our system like a member number. Their phone number is their member number. So we get that database of numbers. And they're very good about telling the person, we're going to use this for survey only. You will not be spammed from this number.
Who's they, and how does they tell the customer that they're not going to be spammed?
They are this Next Ad Agency,
Okay.
and they have callers, so they tell them directly. What we can do on this screen here, I don't know if you can see it, Jeff. This is how we'll directly, like what I envision for next year. I'll write up the protocol, like I said, but I expect our starter to have this on their screen and just you plug into ask the person, would you mind reviewing after the golf course, and say, who knows what we'll do. We could say we'll give them a warm-up token if they say yes, they'll review the golf course. So I haven't even gone that far yet.
Okay.
But they'll type their phone number here, and immediately their phone will buzz with the link to review it. What they're going to do with the database I've given them is they're going to call the people and directly call them and speak with them.
Okay.
All right, cool. So that's it. That's my report on advertising.
Okay.
I
Any
got a
questions,
couple of things. Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of things. Back in the old days, we'd have 14, 15 people here, and they'd raise all kinds of issues. We don't have a baseline as when you in other words, you have promised customer service, and apparently you've delivered it very well. There's a high correlation between what you're doing and the customer's attitude about the service. Secondly, I think there's a huge validation. If you look at our numbers, like 4.5 and their 0.5, and you have no control over here, what you just showed us, that from the external groups, that's a high correlation between it's a very valid number. And so it leads me to put my HR hat on for a minute. The reason we're doing this is not only what you're doing in planning, but it's also the people who work here. And some years ago, we used to have a breakfast for them and thank them. And I'd like to argue that we do something for the people that work here at some point to say, thank you very much, and show them the effects of them coming to work and being courteous and getting the job done. It's just it's part of an ongoing system. This is a system. And by the way, back in the old days, this meeting we'd hear, well, good, the summer's over, so let's think about next year. I mean, this is fabulous what you've done in terms of examining the extent to which the service you're providing is meeting a high level of satisfaction with people. And the second thing is, we have 1,076 members. I remember we had 850.
Yeah, exactly, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, the message is out very quietly. So, Thank you for doing
Yeah,
this.
thanks, Tom. I agree with what you said about the correlation of numbers. I thought that was, I kind of chuckled at that we show our member numbers are 4.5 to 4.7, our guest numbers are 4.5 to 4.7, our Facebook rating is 4.5 to 4.7, our TripAdvisor is
Right.
4.5. So when you see that correlation of numbers, it legitimizes
They
it.
have no dog in the hunt.
Yeah.
And suddenly the numbers are the same. That's
Yeah.
that's absolutely that's a high correlation.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, Roman, thank you. Very, very complete. Under old business, again, as promised, our building update. This past Monday, exactly yesterday, actually, the town administrator, myself, Roman Greer, Sean Libby, and Bob Caffarelli all met for approximately an hour and a half. And it was a very productive meeting. Roman's going to give you the majority of the details as far as the meeting at hand was concerned, and we are making progress.
Okay. First thing I'll show is this is the new design of the building that we got from Pelletier Builders. This is required to build the bid package. So this was something that Bob Caffarelli needs to put together the bid package. This is the same building you've been seeing for the most part. It's got a lot of the specs in it that are required for the bid. The one difference is it's got a little bump out in the lower left corner. That's where we're gonna have our workbench and ice machine, washer and dryer, the things the staff need to run the cart barn. What you'll see on the right side is we had them change the design to have 4 doors on either side, on each side of the cart barn, so we get the drive-through design which was originally represented in the Finuccia Raber Brown plan. That was not represented in our original design that we got from Pelletier. And it's got the fans, 2 fans for ventilation on either side. And what the plan is with this is this building design goes hand in hand with the work we're doing with coastal engineering to put together the bid package. This is required to put together the bid package. So that's where that stands. That just came in hot off the press. So as I show the timetable,
Is the size of the building the same as what we had originally
Yes.
thought it was?
Exactly.
112 by 50, not counting that little bump out. The bump out is 10 by 30. That little bump out.
Back to that for a second,
Yep, I can.
please.
And
So, I see front side, so where it says front sidewall, there are windows,
Yes,
yes, and
that's what you'd see from the parking lot.
yes.
and the treatment, Jeff, includes some shuttering, Cape Cod style, possibly window boxes. And with the knee wall projected, there's a distinct advantage to that because it's going to get the building up in a safer spot, especially with traffic. And Sean
Won't be
Libby
damaged by
mentioned,
carts and
yeah.
stuff, yeah.
Sean Libby mentioned, which I had never thought about, snow removal in the winter, if necessary. You know, the skin of the building's not going to be as exposed if it were right at ground level.
Where's the bump out, Roman?
So that's, what you see in the lower left, on the
Left
top part of the design, looking down on it, it's the lower left, which would be the
Oh,
southwest side of the building.
Left to the,
It's kind of faked in where,
So it's right above front sidewall, the wording.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Jeff, by the way, for your records, I've got a copy of this CAD drawing, and I'll make sure that everybody gets that as well.
Thank you.
That knee wall could come in real handy too when somebody hits the accelerator instead of
That's,
brake.
that's why they recommended it. That's why they recommended it. Yeah, it's gonna catch bumpers and tires and things.
It will.
There's more and more of that happening.
Okay, so, I'll get to the timetable. So the timetable that came out of yesterday's meeting is, at this point, we're looking at having the bid package complete on 9/29. The bid posted in the Central Register on October 3rd. Advertise the bid package in the newspaper on the 12th, which would lead to the bid opening October 26th, and the awarding of the bid by the selectmen on November 6th.
so the bid package is the RFP?
Yes.
So we're behind on the RFP then?
It's taken a little longer than I thought it would, yeah, but, what we're seeing is, we wanted it awarded before November, but, what we're looking into right now, and what the town engineer is looking into is, we may not lose any time whatsoever by we're looking into what the feasibility is of a deadline to say, the work needs to be complete by April 1st is what we're looking at, which would be right on our timetable. So currently, the town surveyor has marked the areas for the site prep. Sean Livy, the town facility technician, is getting quotes for the site prep and completing the Eversource work order for the electric needs, which can be cumbersome. And Coastal Engineering is completing the structural engineering plan for the bid package.
So the procedures in place for build back and the part of the work that DPW is doing for preparation and on-site work?
I didn't hear you, what's that, John?
Okay. Is there, my assumption is a build back procedure that DPW,
Right,
Works Department, would build back to this project
yes,
based upon the work that they do on-site?
yes. What we're currently doing, where I said that Sean Libby's getting quotes for the site prep,
Yep.
they're deciding if it's more cost-effective for them to rent an excavator and have our DPW guys run the excavator,
Yep.
or to hire a local company that they're getting a quote from to do the site prep for us.
Gotcha.
We're gonna see what's more cost-effective.
Okay,
And that's what's currently happening.
okay.
But the site prep should be done way before the bid is
So the
awarded.
site prep would be the,
Tree removal, John.
the construction site itself,
Yeah.
as well as the road.
No, the construction site and the new employee parking and storage site at the south end of the west end of the parking lot.
And what about are we gonna wait until the building is complete before we do the landscaping and the renovation of the circle?
Yeah, that'd be next.
Maybe you could touch on that. Roman's taken the initiative to come up with a plan to get some consulting,
Yeah,
for that
I've
purpose.
met with a landscape architect to talk about the hardscapes at the backdrop and circle area. So there's a gentleman that's currently doing a design for us on that. I'll present that as soon as I get it. I just met with him yesterday.
Jeff, question?
Given the sort of imperative need to get this done by April 1st, has there been any discussion about having either an incentive for the contractor or a penalty for the contractor to be done on time?
That's what we're discussing right now. The town engineer is kind of looking into that with the building companies to see. The worry is if we're too aggressive with the timetable and say it has to be done April 1st, and they don't find that to be feasible, they're gonna add in overtime to the project, and that could inflate the costs of it. So where he's reaching out to is the building companies to see what's a feasible timeline to have without penalties. He even said, a lot of it's gonna be weather contingent also. There has to be weather contingencies in the plan as well. So that's something Bob Caffarelli, the town engineer, is looking into currently.
One thing that came up in the discussion too, Jeff, I think it's important to consider, with all this hurricane activity, all the destruction, especially in Texas with Harvey, and the impact, through Florida, which was minimal compared to the Caribbean, there's gonna be a lot of pressure put on these companies that deal in metal buildings. So we are fortunate that, we're in a pretty good position right now, and hopefully it won't become that competitive, we'll be able to sneak this in.
The town
Because-
administrator had anxiety
Yeah.
that they're gonna go where the money is, and there's gonna be a lot of money in Houston rebuilding, so.
But I had a conversation with one of these company presidents, and basically he said, look, it's a 5,000 square foot glorified garage. That's what we're building, and that's the good news. If it was more elaborate, et cetera, I think we might be challenged on that.
Once the foundation's in, it's gonna go up quick.
Yeah, exactly. But that's, and coastal's involved, thank God we had them before. And if you remember, in the Finocio Raber Brown report, we had enlisted them before, so they're busy, but I think they're gonna come to bat for us. And that's the key. The foundation is the key. Any other questions? And I
No.
mentioned to Roman that, in that meeting, I'm
One
sorry,
other thing
John.
with the bid.
Yeah.
Does that include the reskimming of the maintenance bond?
That's gonna be an add-on to that is gonna be an
Yeah,
add-on to it, yes.
I brought that up at the meeting. I think it's important, and
That was part of the warrant article, so. we
Yeah,
should-
no, it
Yeah.
will. It's gonna be an add-on to it where, when they bid, they'll bid on both projects, and we can choose to accept whichever part of it we would like to accept. We can accept their bid on the building, but not the bid on the reskinning if it comes in too high.
And it's almost common sense. In dialoguing with a couple of these CEOs of companies that may do business with us, they said it's a no-brainer. They will literally put the reskin materials on the same truck. It would be delivered as a package. So they were very, positive when it came to that prospect. You know what I mean, John? And plus they have, if you think about it, your install team is in place, all the equipment for the installation's in place because you're doing the building itself. So it's, there's a natural
I
marriage.
guess one of the things that surprises me is the second point there under currently, getting quotes for the site prep. Because I thought we basically agreed, one of the advantages of this program that we're putting together was to get the DPW to do as much of the work as possible, which they agreed to.
Right. They were gonna,
And
but
why are we getting bids now?
no matter what, they were gonna have to lease an excavator. They didn't have an excavator we
True.
could use. So that's the only thing we're deciding the cost effectiveness to see if we need to rent the excavator for 2 weeks versus having, what's the name of the company they're reaching out to?
The one that the one that was referenced in the meeting, not that it's exclusive, but I believe the company's known as Barrows Construction.
There's a
Okay.
thought that they could come in one day and do a lot of the work that we'd have to lease an excavator for 2 weeks for it, so it may be more cost effective to hire them to do
But
it.
Sean Libby cautioned the fact that Barrows is very busy with, a variety of projects that they have in place. And it's really imperative to get the site prep done, one way or the other, because the foundation, of course, is contingent to that. And, once that foundation's in place, that's a key. I mean, if that, and I've heard a variety of numbers, so has Roman, the timetable for that building to be manufactured is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Realistically, it might be as much as 10 weeks. It's hard to put a number on that. So, that's what we're up against too.
Now, the third point there on Eversource,
Yes.
does a lot of that work or the laying of the lines going into this building have to be done prior to the construction of the building or the foundation?
We're working with them right now. I don't believe so. I don't believe it needs to be done beforehand. We're entering into the first work order stage with them on that, what the needs are. And they're gonna come back once we fill out the work order that we have to fill out with them. It's very detailed about every appliance we're gonna have in the building. They'll get back, then we communicate on our timeline with them and tell them what our timeline is, when we need it.
And it's amazing, the state codes dictate, X number of feet receptacle, X number of feet another receptacle. So, the way the RFP is gonna be designed, Bob mentioned, it all has to correlate to those standards. So basically, it's sort of like when they build those, it's not mobile home, but there's a term.
Manufactured home.
Manufactured home, yeah. Sounds so much nicer, but you know what I mean? All those umbilicals and everything, John, they're kind of built in, so that you're plugging it in. And you might mention that too, as far as single phase, triple phase.
I mean, what we're looking into right now that's coming out of the work order we have and our electrical needs, it looks like we are not gonna need three-phase power for the building. We'll see. That's part of the work order.
Yeah.
Eversource is gonna determine that.
Okay,
Now,
Tom.
it's, this is beyond my pay grade, but I'm listening to it from a product perspective. Is there a Gantt chart by time or a flow chart by time that each of these must be completed? In other words, you can't do this until this is completed. So a delay on this delays that, which means it then delays on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I do have a Gantt chart.
He is- This is the project manager.
Well, no, and
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. I mean, I think you should have an engineer at your, and you may have it, I mean, if he's around and doing nothing else. Because if you get a critical delay, the whole thing gets delayed. Now, as I understand it, it won't interfere our operation next year about starting, because we still have the carts.
Yeah.
And we just haven't moved them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're good for
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah.
as contingency plans.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not like It's good that in February, they're not showing up with a whole fleet of electric carts that we don't have anywhere to charge until this building's done. Our lease is not up till the next year with the carts.
Good, yeah, we're not doing electric next year,
No.
Right.
yeah, we'll take that then, yeah, okay.
Jeff?
I don't recall, are we gonna lose parking spaces in front of the building, or a few parking?
A few, but overall, it's a large net gain. I think our plan was to gain 20 spots, I think.
20 plus.
And what this bump out that I just showed you, we're gonna lose 4 or so with that one. But we're gonna gain 20 plus parking places. That little bump out is gonna take out about 4 parking places.
But there will be parking in front of the building?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
With a knee wall.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna forget if I don't ask now. It's off this, though.
Yeah.
Because I've been asked several times in the last few rounds of Cranberry. There's a concrete slab that's been poured between 17 and the T at 18.
Mhm.
What is that for? Is that for washing off machinery?
Washing off machinery, yeah.
Okay, that seemed obvious, but everybody was asking the question. I said, I don't know, but I'll find out.
No, that we're washing down machinery out there now, and that's really because of what we found with the, a few years ago, the problem we had with the irrigation pond, how it smelled and had a real algae bloom.
Right.
A part of that was because we were washing down the equipment close to it, and some of the wash down was going into the pond,
Gotcha.
was what was assumed. So we're washing it out way out on the golf course in an area where we can't contaminate it.
And
Okay, thank you.
that's why this, the water containment system that we're going to incorporate.
Yeah.
And also, in this discussion, this building will be solar-ready, so that when we get to that juncture, Tom, installing the solar array on the roof and everything,
Yep.
it'll be ready.
Yep.
Okay. That's it under old business, and as I mentioned in the email that I sent to everybody, under new business, actually, we didn't have any topics that we would broach unless someone had something that they wanted to bring up as a thought.
Well,
Can I use that, Tom?
Well, I remember I gave you some.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
I went to my computer today, and I have probably 200 golf things. And I picked up a couple that I thought would be good to make part of the permanent record here. One was done in 2014, some things we want to do. But John has, we built that into our strategic plan, some of them. And then a more recent one, I just didn't want to lose them. And just to make it part of our permanent record, to show if anyone ever asked that we did spend time trying to generate strategic plans based on the needs of the course. That's all.
Tom, thank you. So it's information that, we've had shared in different meetings, but, you can look it over and digest it on your own. And I had just a couple of quick comments. The next regular meeting, people, in October, will be October 17th. And since we need a quorum, what's really important is, and you might want to write this down, on October 24th, I've asked Roman and with Mike's help to determine the rates and fees hearing, which is obligatory traditionally every October. We will have that rates and fees hearing on the 24th. It'll be at 4 o'clock, just for the sake of convenience, continuity with what we've done in the past, and we'll adjourn from that hearing into a special meeting to adopt, hopefully, rates and fees for the coming year. That way we can present it to the selectmen, and most likely that would be the same evening that hopefully we're looking at our cart barn proposal being accepted. So it would be November 6th. And that keeps us in the same timetable that we've, entertained before. And Roman will have specific information regarding rates and fees, and that will be the core of our focus for that meeting, as well as updates on the building project.
I'm confused, what?
November 6th date, what's that? November 6th?
November 6th is the selectmen's meeting, John.
Oh.
Yep.
So there's a meeting on October 17th and then one on the 24th.
24th, yeah.
I will not be here on the 24th. just
Okay.
FYI.
Well,
Out of the state.
thank you. Okay, Under public comment, Mr. Wall,
No, thanks.
thanks for your attendance. Anything positive that you want to share? Okay. With no further business to bring before the committee, motion to adjourn? Okay, so.
Could be a
moved.
record.
I know.
This is a record.
Holy moly.
Yes,
Yeah.
do it right now.
And I will make sure that you get the CAD drawing as well. All in favor? Aye.
Second.
Thank you. Second was
Martha?
Martha Dunn.
Mike, talk to Pam about posting for the public